Men weren't feeling very experimental about color. They weren't wearing as much color as they're comfortable with nowadays. That's changed a whole lot. In fact, now when I go into organizations and I talk about colors and how to empower yourself in the workplace, I've noticed there are suggestions I make, and such as, blue is America's favorite color. If you wear sky blue, you'll look exceptionally healthy, even if you're not. So a lot of men glommed onto that, especially if they had high blood pressure, and they want to keep working, but they have a lot of red in their complexion. And what I found was even more interesting was men asked me, how can I be more relatable to women? So I suggested, why don't you get a purple shirt, purple tie, purple polo, and wear it on a certain day of the week and see what happens on that day of the week. And the phone calls, not only did they take the suggestion, they went out, bought those things, and then they started calling. And one of the first phone calls I got was from a man who told me that he wanted me to meet his future wife. He had asked her to marry him. And this was a man who was, he thought, I've been married a couple times. I don't think I'm any good at it. And had just kind of given up. He said, I've got grandchildren, life is good, probably isn't going to happen again. But one day, he was going out. He knew he was going to be networking and meeting people, and there'd be women there. And he put on a purple shirt just to see if something could happen. And this woman saw him from across the room and went up to him. And they got to know each other, and then a year later, he's introducing me to her in a coffee shop. He wanted me to meet her. And she told me the story of how she saw him across the room. And what was so great was I said, well, what about the purple? What made that happen? And she said, I just had the impression he thought outside the box, that there was something a little bit different about him. And I'm so glad I did, because she said it was true. And then I've had another man who called me up, and he took the experiment very seriously, and every week on Tuesday for 8 weeks, he wore purple to work. And he called up, and he was so excited because he goes, Tuesday isn't like any other day of the week. Women seek me out and ask me my advice. Women seem to take my suggestions and take action on it. I even had a woman come up to me and say, you get me. And he said, that's never happened in my whole entire life, but it does happen when I wear purple.